Hi, I'm Shannon with Parade. Today I'm going to show you the secret to a beautiful flaky pie crust. It's much easier than you think. The key is to keep all of your ingredients well chilled and work very quickly. So let's get started. First, what you'll do is take 4.5 cups of chilled flour, put that in your processor. Now I use a food processor because it's very quick. You can use a pastry cutter, but it'll take a little bit more time. Next, we'll take half a teaspoon of salt, put that right in there. Then we'll take a tablespoon of sugar, adds a little sweetness, put that in there too. Now we're gonna pulse this just to mix it real quick. Woo! There we go. Okay, next we'll put in a 1/4 cup of shortening that's been chopped into cubes. And we have 3/4 of a cup of butter. The shortening helps with the tenderness, the butter helps with the flakiness. Put that right in there. Close this up. Pulse it 4 to 5 times until you have nice pea or lima bean sized bits of butter and shortening in your dough. So it looks like we're good to start pouring our water in here. Now, typically this takes about 6 to 8 tablespoons of water before the dough really starts to come together. I just like to pour the water in slowly and pulse just until the dough begins to come together. When you squeeze the dough together, it really should stick. If it's coming together nice and easy, that means it's ready. So we have a nice chilled dough here. We'll flour our surface. Take this off of the processor here. Now this recipe makes enough for 2 crusts, a top crust and a bottom crust, or if you're just doing something like a pumpkin pie that only needs a bottom crust, you'll have 2 bottom crusts. And you'll notice there are little bits of butter and shortening that are still visible. That's exactly what you want. You don't want to knead it too much because if you knead it too much, your crust will be tough. It won't be flaky and tender. Now you're going to need to chill your dough for about 30 minutes. Keeps the fat solid. So your butter's not melting into your dough, your shortening's not melting into the dough. Secondly, it allows the gluten in the dough to relax. And that's very important because if your gluten is not relaxed, your pie crust will shrink and lose its form in the oven. Just flatten it out a little bit, makes it easier when you go to roll it. Pop these in the refrigerator for about 30 minutes to an hour. You can even do it overnight. And then come back and you'll be ready to roll out your pie dough. Okay, so our dough has been chilling for about an hour now. So we'll flour our work surface and then roll out our dough. I have it here. It's nice and cold. It's exactly how we want it. We want to make sure that our fat stays solid throughout this entire process. Remember, that's what contributes to the flakiness. Flour the top of it a little bit, flour a rolling pin, just throw flour all over the place. You don't want it sticking anywhere. So we're going to start right from the center, roll it out carefully, rotate it. You want to make sure that it doesn't stick. As I'm rolling it out, you can really see the nice swirls of butter and shortening in this dough. It looks great. Get it about the thickness of a 1/4. So now we're ready to put it in our pie plate, and it looks like it's big enough. You can just hover your pie plate over the dough to gauge whether or not you've rolled it out enough. It looks like it's good to go. So in order to transfer your dough from the work surface to your pie plate, you're just gonna lift it up, just like so, up and over your rolling pin, okay? And then you'll butt your pie plate right up against the rolling pin, lift it up very carefully, and roll it out over. Look at that. Perfect. Now let it fall into the plate a little bit. You're just gonna lightly push your finger around the edges of the pie plate. We have some overage here. I'm gonna take my knife and just trim around the edges. You want about 1 inch to 1/2 inch extra dough around the edges so that you can fold it under. We don't want it hanging off the plate. And then I'll show you how to make a nice fluted crust. In order to do that, you take your knuckle and form just a V with your thumb and your index finger, just like that, and press just around the pie plate, just like that. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect, unless you're competing in the World Pie Championships. Okay, so you can go ahead and chill this, take it out when you're ready to fill it, then you can bake it and enjoy.